Okay, we should be live. Let me just level down. And I think I'm the first one here. Ha! That's what you can do when you don't tell anybody you're going live. Now hopefully the mic works. It's not beside me, it's up on the table. Why am I saying this? No one's here yet. Oh, one person's here, that's cool. Hey, what's up? Is the mic okay where it is? It's not like getting feedback or anything. I've put it in a slightly different place. Ah, there it is, there's the tab. Deadly offer. Hope it's working. Anyway, I found Deadly Offer. The tab where it is. They look much better now, my bangs. I've given the cat some meat, but not enough to make him throw up. So we're good, basically. Werewolf book. Oh, I could have put my red coat on as well. Just to confuse the issue, like read a book about a vampire in Little Red Riding Hood outfit. I'm gonna jokeify the planet. Anyway, I'll wait till a few more people turn up before I recap. Ah, there it is. Everything's backwards in the camera. There we go. I think that's better. I was a little bit late. I said half an hour and I was like 33 minutes. Because I've discovered the world of making your own jewelry and how cheap it is to buy jewelry making shit and beads and shit. So I was thinking I can buy a bunch of beads, like, you know, cheap shit. Hey Danny! And make the Tudor style jewelry things that are selling on Etsy for like $50 plus postage. I'm just gonna make that shit myself and wear it. Depending on how difficult. Oh yeah, of course, because you make me those awesome things. Of course you have tools for it. I just kind of... I kind of thought that you just had a bunch of beads and you would leave out cookies and stuff, and in the morning there would be a bunch of necklaces and bracelets on the table. That was the amount of thought I'd put into it. What a womble. It would be fun to play with some of that stuff before, like, buying my own. Just to see if, you know, it gives me eye strain or whatever. Those magnifying things are pretty good. Nana Mac has one for reading the newspaper, and I've got interrogation light. You know what the interrogation light looks like. I didn't have to do that to myself. I could do with some cookies, to be honest. Terrible sadness of me. What do I do until people turn up? I mean, You guys are here, but we can't talk about our day because we were together all day. I'm not saying the good morning train is coming. Oh, I know. I know what you'll do for cookies. You'll do anything. Whatever it takes. Oh, cup of tea, that sounds good. No, I can't go make a cup of tea. I've just started streaming. That's so stupid. Oh, what was that? What was that? You wanted the good morning train? Oh, all I heard was good morning train. I guess you probably... Don't worry, I'm not going to sing it. Ah, that's what I wanted. Gotta get some cranberry juice. So we got a theme going. I don't know if I hate the Good Morning Train song more than I hate doing the opposite of what people tell me. I don't know. I need to get more juice. I'm not taking those iron supplements without juice. They do not taste good to me. Although the juice has been keeping me off the Diet Coke, so I don't know. Juice is full of sugar, but Diet Coke's just poison, so question mark. Okay, I'm going to message... Oh, I'm going to text Evelyn. Because I forgot to. It's like a tradition now. If there was a drinking game about this, it would include, oh, I forgot to text Evelyn, and can someone ring my phone? Surprise YouTube. Or surprise YouTube. Hey Josh, it did go well. The whole party survived despite our best efforts to be really stupid. Drink for the cat door game, yeah. I am. I've been taking liquid iron supplements and I need to take them with juice because they taste not good. Hi, abandoned account. Thank you. I fixed the bangs. I straightened them a little bit. Now they're sitting nice, more nicely. Alright, recap. Okay, recap. Is anyone here who wasn't here for the last one? Yeah, drinking for the cat door. I think you should drink alcohol for the drinking game of, I forgot to text Evelyn. I need to get up and do an errand that I forgot about while I was streaming. When I say, I'm not a professional, you get what you get. And then you drink water every time the cat goes in and comes out, you'll be okay. Yeah, I have liquid iron. I have, Spartone, 100% natural liquid iron supplement. Equivalent to 5 milligrams elemental iron as ferrous iron. Blah, 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 blah. Wait, how much are my iron pills? How much should I be taking? See, you can drink now for irrelevant errand. $200 milligrams. Okay, that's more than 5. Yeah, 200 milligrams is a lot more than 5. I might ask if I can get like an injection or something from my GP. She did say that she'd be able to hook me up with something other than the tablets that hurt my stomach, so who knows? Hi, Phil Parker. Oh, they're bots. Okay. Never mind. Iron deficiency is very serious. You can get trapped behind a bunch of shutters in a tower room and just vilified by any teenage girl you try and corrupt. Yeah, just cleaning it up with a big magnet. That'd be quite good. Okay, anyway, recap. Althea is unpopular. There's a tower room in her house with shutters on the inside and the outside. You're never to go in there. You're never to open the shutters. She opens the shutters. A vampire comes out. He's gross. She asks for popularity. He says, "Feed me Seymour," essentially. And she gives him a girl. Oh, I'm sorry, Phil. I'm sorry I said you were a bot. It looked similar to another comment. Yes, Alfalfa's still a little bitch. Althea is experiencing popularity for the first time ever, and she really loves it. But then the vampire's like, "I need another victim because I'm a vampire and that's what we do." And she's like, "No, we did the deal. Like, we did the deal. I'm popular. You got Celeste, who is now very depressed and tired." Yeah, I did think you were a bot. I'm sorry. And the vampire's like, "Yeah, no, I want someone else. So at your party, put your arm around the person that you've chosen to give to me. Like, you have to choose." And she's like, "No, fuck you. I hate you." And he's like, "Well, I could take it all away, I could take it all away, your popularity. Like, this, it's not an on-off thing. This is me maintaining for you." And she's like, "Shit." So they have the party. Yeah, popularity, literally. Oh, you logged in wrong and it was that account. Okay, sorry. No wonder it said abandoned account. Yeah, donate my friends. I'll kill you if you come to my party. Yeah, she did say, "I'll kill you," to the vampire and threw a chair at him. Which did nothing, because he's a vampire. So she holds the party. She has a great time. Nearly makes out with Ryan, one of the 3 boys she knows, who has no personality compared to all the girls. Realized that some of the cheerleaders are shallow, catty bitches, but she was like, "No, I actually love it. Like, it's fine. I'm not going to join in, but I'm not going to say anything when they act like bitches." And she accidentally indicates her childhood best friend Jenny as the vampire's victim. She's a teenager and she's an idiot and she's not paying attention. Yeah, it was like, "I'm hundreds of years old. You're not going to kill me by throwing a chair at me. I don't know who you could kill by throwing a chair at them." So, yeah, they have the party. And then she puts her arm around Jenny. And the vampire goes, "Cheers." So where we left off was... Oh, also, Althea thinks that the only thing people are drinking at her party is soda, which is adorable. So we left off with... it could be something nobody's tried before. Yeah? He could be allergic to chair. He's not. So Jenny's hand fumbled for the back door and could not find the knob, but it didn't matter because the knob turned by itself. Jenny stumbled forward and could not find the step, but that didn't matter because a hand appeared to help her. A hand with long warped fingernails, a hand the colour of mushrooms. And with that dispassionate, saucy reading of the last paragraph, we're ready to jump into the next chapter. Deadly Offer, Chapter 10. The debris of a finished party filled the house. Crushed napkins and empty paper plates, ice melting at the bottom of glasses, and pizza crusts on coffee tables. "What a success it was," said the vampire. You can be very pleased, Althea. And don't worry about the little scene in the kitchen. I will see that nobody remembers it. Althea was screaming like a cheerleader, but throwing chairs and paintings and pieces of china instead of pom-poms. Jenny will not remember a thing, protested the vampire. You saw Celeste. It takes energy to have a memory. Jenny's going to be very tired. The smile that had stayed on Althea's face from Saturday's football game all the way through Sunday's party had exhausted her facial muscles. Now she had tics in both cheeks. Her face jumped and twitched. That's not what I meant, screamed Althea. I did not mean for you to touch Jenny. I yelled out the window. I told you to stop. Once things are set in motion, said the vampire, they cannot necessarily be stopped. It was necessary, she shrieked. I told you to stop. Stopping was necessary. I thought you said popularity was necessary, said the vampire. You can't have both, you know, and you made your choice very clear. It's not what I meant when I hugged Jenny. It's what you did, though, said the vampire. In the dark, he glowed like a phosphorescent fungus. Althea ricocheted off the walls, pounding them, kicking them. You know perfectly well I was hugging Jenny because I felt affection for her, screamed Althea. We agreed that when you put your arm around a girl at your party, it would be the girl who didn't matter. In any event, there's no point in discussing it. It's done. It's over. There is no going back. Althea's knees buckled. She tried to hang onto the wall, but the wall was flat and offered no support. She sank to the floor. The floor was filthy, where people had tracked in dirt and stepped on potato chips. You disgusting, depraved, horrible. Althea could not think of enough words to fling at him. Jenny and I were going to be friends again, she thought. How dare he go ahead like that when he knew I didn't mean it? Kindly stop placing blame on others. It's you, corrected the vampire. I told you what the arrangement would be and you accepted. You chose Jenny. You said, this one doesn't matter. Althea crushed a dreadful thought. The girl sitting on the counter? The one who'd crashed the party? Why hadn't Althea put her arm around that girl? Nobody even knew her name. That girl didn't matter. Althea's heart and hands and spine turned cold and stony. I thought that, she thought. I'm a terrible person. I must not have that thought again. Everybody matters, whispered Althea. Why didn't you feel that way with Celeste? Asked the vampire. He seemed calm, ready to talk philosophy all night if necessary. Not that there was much night left. She had no answer. Because you wanted to be popular, the vampire told her. It's very reasonable. We all want to be popular. You made a good choice, Althea. Why, everybody at your party wanted to come again. She thought of the goodbyes. So many hugs. She'd been careful not to hug back, but no one had noticed. They said what a good time they'd had, what a cool house she had, what fun it was, how they must get together here all the time. What interesting people you had at this party, said the vampire. His voice was full of admiration. It glowed like a nightlight in the hall, safe and warm. You have so many good friends now, Althea. Better friends than Jenny. How good a friend was she to you? Wasn't she mean? Didn't she abandon you? Didn't she leave you to sit alone in the cafeteria? It was true. Jenny had been rotten and nasty, and Althea did have better friends now. Nobody could put Jenny in the same class with cheerleaders like Becky. Jenny hardly mattered when you compared her with Becky. Althea felt somewhat better. Think what a wonderful day Monday will be, said the vampire. He was leaving. She could see him growing down, dividing away, letting himself be absorbed into the thick, woolly air around him. Friends clamouring for your attention. Friends begging to come to the next party. Friends hoping to sit with you. And he was gone, and she was smiling. Friends? What a lovely, lovely word. She would have them like a bouquet of flowers in a bride's arms. All shapes and colours and sizes of them, all beautiful and happy to be there. Friends. Althea straightened and looked around the house. She began cleaning. The mess extended to every corner. She swept, she mopped, she neatened. Plenty of friends had volunteered to help clean up, but she turned everybody down. She didn't want her first party to end with scrubbing and stacking. No, her first party had to finish with laughter and the honking of horns and the hugging of friends. Friends, thought Althea. Her sweeping slowed down. Her energy evaporated. Jenny had once been a friend. Celeste had thought it was the act of a new friend to offer a ride. Althea dropped down, becoming carpet, becoming rug, flat and thin. Jenny would be like Celeste, vibrance gone, energy evaporated. Jenny would trudge. And it would be my fault, thought Althea. I did it to her. My best friend. No, said Althea out loud. I couldn't have done that. Not me. Her voice was all scratch and no sound, like the leftovers of a soul. Exactly. The bouquet metaphor is so great because they're not really happy to be there. They're there because they gotta be, because you cut their heads off. How would Althea ever sleep again knowing what she'd done? She had destroyed Jenny. Jenny of childhood memories and childhood joy. This is how I repay her, thought Althea. I sell her to a vampire. Althea had cleaned up the bottom of the stairs. At the top of the stairs waited the locked entrance to the shuttered room. All I have to do, thought Althea clearly, is shut the shutters. I have to close them back up, bolt them back in. I can't save Celeste and Jenny now. It's too late for them. But I can still stop him. I can prevent him from doing it again. She lifted her chin, took the first step up. She felt strong and full of resolution. She was the kind of woman who could conquer whole worlds. And the vampire said, from behind the door of the shuttered room, "Do you want the first party to be the last party?" Althea held the broom tightly. "Do you want to find out if Ryan will ask you on a real date? Do you want to know if Michael enjoyed himself tonight? Do you want to know if Michael was just accidentally everywhere you were? Do you wonder why it is that Michael did not bring along the beautiful and perfect Constance?" Althea trembled. The broom fell from her fingers and tipped against the wall. The vampire's voice was as soft as cookie dough. "Do you want to see if Kimmy Joe and Dusty will invite you to their parties? If Becky will?" Althea slid to the bottom step and folded over on herself, like an old sheet in a musty linen closet. "Of course you do," he whispered. The vampire's laugh was like old leaves on dying trees. "I'll get a good night's rest, Althea. What's done is done. And nothing has happened, really. Jenny's just going to be a little tired. And you have better friends than that now, anyhow, don't you?" "Hi, Evelyn," that was the end of the chapter, so you're actually in pretty good time. On this chapter, Althea screams at the vampire and he's like, no, I'm taking Jenny, you put your arm around her, it's done. And during the daytime, she decides to lock him up again in the shuttered room, close all the shutters and everything. And then from behind the door, he goes, oh my god, Becky, look at his butt. It's so bony. He's like one of those rap stars vampires. And then the vampire tempted her from behind the door. He was just like, oh gosh. Don't you want to find out if Ryan was horny for you at the party? Do you want to know if Michael was horny for you at the party? Why he didn't bring his girlfriend? Do you want to know if you're going to go to the other cheerleaders' parties? And she's like, oh man, I suck. I do want to know those things. I want that badly enough to destroy other people's lives. So that was the end of that chapter. Althea had a few mood swings during the chapter. She started off screaming and throwing shit at the vampire. No, that wasn't him. Chapter 11. Monday. Althea had dreaded Mondays for a year and a half. The terrible building into which she was forced to walk alone. That horrible cafeteria in which she was forced to sit alone. Thank you for enjoying it. I'm loving sharing this with you guys. Each room so grim. Whether the library or the gymnasium, the English class or the chemistry laboratory. Each room seemed designed as a showcase for other people's friends. Monday. And Jenny would not be coming to school. Althea considered being absent herself, staying in bed all day or perhaps the rest of her life. But in the end, she got up, dressed, drove to school and parked. Every move was heavy as lead. Putting the parking brake on left her weak and panting. Pushing down the door locks was like bench pressing. How could she move herself across the pavement? She felt as heavy as the car itself, except that she had no wheels. She had to pick up each foot and set it down, and then pick up the other one. Althea trudged forward. Never had the walk seemed longer, the steps higher, the doors heavier. But the door handle was taken from her and a larger, stronger hand pulled it open for her. "Hi there," said a boy cheerfully. "How are you, Althea?" She did not even recognize him. She did not even know him. She murmured, "Thank you," and walked into the gleaming marble foyer. Marble? What kind of high school is this? "Hi, Althea," called a girl, changing the artwork of the week exhibit. "Hey, Althea, you get that math homework?" yelled a voice. Incorrectly, because it's called maths. She waved. She called. She answered. She even managed a smile or two. The entire school had learned her name. Power of varsity cheerleading. The publicity of standing in front of the entire school for 2 hours yelling. These kids knew her. They felt loyalty and affection for her. They enjoyed seeing her cheer. She was theirs. "Hi, Althea. How are you, Althea? Sit with me, Althea." Her name was used aloud more times that Monday than in all the years of her life. Althea. The name rang in the cafeteria. Althea. The name bounced off the gym walls. Althea. The name was murmured in the library. Althea as a name had always seemed both odd and stodgy. Now it sounded beloved and welcome. Fellow cheerleaders called to her. Classmates wanted to chat with her. Unknown kids going down the hall actually congratulated Althea on a good game Saturday, as if her cheering had brought about the victory. Everyone who'd been at the party came up grinning and delighted to say what fun it had been, how they hoped she would have another one soon. and everyone who had not been at the party came up shyly and hopefully, hinting that Althea might include them next time. But Jenny was absent. Childhood memories filled Althea like those donuts, heavy and lasting. Jenny and Althea going to the petting zoo, Jenny and Althea playing chutes and ladders, Jenny and Althea buying spring hats and being too shy to wear them, Jenny and Althea taking riding lessons and being in horse shows together, Jenny and Althea drawing up lists of cute boys, back in elementary school where there was no such thing, and giggling insanely all night long at each other's houses, daring each other to phone a boy. Hello, I'd like to phone a boy. That's my trivia option. Jenny and Althea cutting each other's hair so badly one sleepover that Jenny's mother escorted them to a mall hairdresser who was open in the evenings. And Jenny was absent. I believe there are sequels, but I haven't read them since I was literally a child, so I can't speak to them. I hope they're written by the same author, because if they are, they're probably good. Althea found herself behaving vaguely to all who spoke her name. Don't be rude, she said to herself. Pay attention. People are talking to you. Sorry. Curiously enough, her distracted manner made her more desirable. She's learning some pick-up shit. She pondered this. The popular person who doesn't have time for you becomes more popular, she thought. She saved up the faces of all who spoke and laughed, thinking, did I earn this? Or did the vampire somehow migrate to each of them and instruct them in their sleep? Admire Althea today. And tomorrow? Next month? Next year? Will they forget me as quickly as weather? Will I vanish like last Monday's sunshine or yesterday's snow flurry? And Jenny was absent. Her mind kept returning to that. The vampire will ask me for another one, she thought. Not right away, but soon. Althea changed classes, ate lunch, went to the library, got books from her locker, and wondered who it would be. Who? Who will I give him? Who will he take? Like owls fluttering through the halls, their wings hitting her hair, the cry, who? 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 Rang in her ears. I cannot do that again, she said to herself. I cannot destroy another human being. I can't participate in it anymore. That's all there is to it. You know, Althea, said Ryan's voice, you're more daydreamy than I realized. She jumped, astonished to find that she was sitting in a chair, and Ryan was sitting in a chair next to her. He was smiling into her eyes, his hand resting on the chair back. Hi, Ryan, she said, blushing. His hand shifted from the back of the chair to the back of her neck. His fingers were calloused, but his touch was gentle. He touched her skin as if exploring new worlds, lightly tugged her hair, and watched what he was doing, fascinated by his skin against hers. Althea swallowed, thinking of somebody else who liked the backs of necks. Jenny is absent. She took Ryan's hand instead and held it in her lap. He was delighted and looked at their two hands together. He separated her fingers with his and intertwined them, making a row of 10 knuckles, her smooth, small, pale knuckles alternating with his large, knobbly, dark ones. Ooh, 10 knuckles. That's why they call it the beast with 10 knuckles, when you're holding hands. Ew. I hate that phrase, it's so gross. The school day, he said, managing a laugh, has ended. Did you notice? Do you want to go for a drive? Or maybe pizza? I can always eat pizza. I could eat yours if you're not hungry. Ryan has to be a stoner. Michael appeared beside them. Holding hands in public? He teased. I'm shocked, Ryan. you ignorant slut. Get lost, said Ryan cheerfully. We're going for pizza. Ryan pulled Althea to her feet. The library was full of kids doing research papers or homework, but all were watching. She felt their eyes. The cheerleader and the football players. The popular girl and the handsome boys. The one you dream of being. And it's me, she thought. It's me. End of chapter. I have to say, I love the Althea's moral dilemmas and her ping-ponging. It was to eat her pizza. Look, a man who eats a Big Mac in 4 bites. I don't know. I want him to be very careful. Anyway, I'm not going to get disgusting on here because it'll just escalate, you know. Chapter 12. Look, who hasn't been so horny we've tried to give someone to a person we believe to be a vampire? It happens. It's a normal part of growing up. And if it happens to you at 34, then it is what it is, you know? People develop at their own rate. That's all I'm saying. And also everyone grieves in a different way. And maybe that was fine. I'm going to shut up. I'm going to do this. Chapter 12. The 3 of them made their way out of the school, bumping into one another and laughing and pushing on the steps, sheltering one another against the wind. Althea, confused about why they were a threesome, said aloud, "Michael, are you coming too?" Michael and Ryan roared with laughter. "It's my car he's inviting you to use," explained Michael. "Old Ryan here is without a vehicle. 'Cause I'm rich, 'cause I got born." Remember, he had got a car from his birthday from his dad. It's a new car. It's exciting. If you plan to see much of the guy, keep in mind he's going to need a chauffeur from now on. "What about the car with the 3 broken doors?" said Althea, who yearned to slither and slide in and out with Ryan. Whoa! That's a sentence where you don't even put emphasis on it and wink or anything. You just read it and go, okay. Anyway, Althea, horned as fuck. Ryan sighed heavily, not knowing how much she yearned to The police. The cops. She was horrified. "You were arrested?" "I'm coming right, Althea." "No, but I'm breathing hard." Ryan looked hurt while Michael grinned. "I was not arrested," Ryan said with dignity. "The police pulled me over because they could not understand how I was able to get out of such dented doors. It seems that the vehicle inspection standards require that the driver and passenger should be able to get out of the car. I argued that we are able to get out of the car, it just takes a little while. The police said, what if I had a passenger who wasn't that agile? And I said, I wouldn't take him along, would I? And the police said, what about in situations where we didn't have a while to take, like breaking down the train tracks? I pointed out there are no train tracks. He didn't care. He said I can't drive a one-door car until I get it fixed. But he's not going to get it fixed, said Michael. It'd cost a fortune. So yesterday, said Ryan, I buried my servant, the car. It's gone to that great junkyard in the sky, said Michael. The boys stood reverently for a moment, hands on hearts, mourning the passage of a really good vehicle. Althea laughed helplessly, adoring them both. She'd never been able to comprehend a girl who would dangle two boys. Is that what we're calling it now? You would think the girl would choose the better boy and get rid of the crummier one and settle into having a great time. Now she could see this was not such a great course of action. Here was Ryan. Sweet and funny, cute and built and bright. here was Michael. All of the above, but more so. They travelled in a pair, obviously. She had her own car. She could drive Ryan, and they could dispense with Michael. But what girl in her right mind would dispense with Michael? On the other hand, what girl in her right mind would dispense with Ryan either? A really good vehicle, also known as a terrible, shitty car. There's so many shitty cars I mourn the loss of. Yeah, I think she likes the image of herself with, you know, the cheerleader with the football player as the image she keeps coming back to. Stop me if this is Babby's first lesbian analysis, but I am pretty sure she's just attracted to herself as part of that extremely popular looking couple, you know? Like she's in love with her uniform. I've been in love with my cheerleading uniform before. I know how that feels, at least. Ryan, Michael, and Althea drove around for a while. All three in the front seat. God, it must be one of those really old-fashioned cars. But it was new. Fuck. Althea was wonderfully crushed between their thighs. Jesus! Caroline B. Cooney, you were horny when you wrote this chapter. Caroline B. Horny. And when Michael took a sharp turn, his arm on the steering wheel brushed against her, and when Ryan leaned forward to talk to Michael, his shoulder pressed on hers. Althea thought that probably nothing, including sex or being elected president, could be as splendid as sitting in that front seat, Michael and Ryan talking to her at the same time, their wonderful masculine presence and scent and attitudes filling her with utter contentment. What? She's riding the gear stick. I thought it was a hetero thing. Oh, times have changed. It's all different now. I think Michael may have been hotboxing this car before Althea got in, and that's why she thinks everything's so splendid, but who knows. Eventually, they arrived at Pizza Hut. I love how they're named restaurants. Of course, Pizza Hut is a perfectly public restaurant, open to the world, and Althea had been there many times. And yet, if you walked in and passed the salad bar and went to the rear of the restaurant, there was a booth in the corner that was virtually a private club. The High School Club. It was occupied continuously by one group or another, its numbers changing, diminishing, increasing as one popular person drifted away, only to be replaced by another. This is a one-handed chapter, yeah, I think. Oh yeah, her total focus is on the image. But I mean, she's a teenager, so it's very well written, actually. Like, I don't think I could write being a teenager this well, because the brain just doesn't remember it properly. It can't. You had a whole different brain back then. Psycho brain. Only 6 could actually fit in the booth. Usually 7 or 8 were crammed in, while several more sat at right angles in the adjoining non-corner booths, which lacked the special status of the crammed corner. Caroline B. Horny. In her previous life, Althea would hardly have had the nerve to lift her eyes even to look towards this corner. In her wildest dreams, in her most desperate prayers, she had never hoped to be escorted to it by Michael and Ryan. They'd hardly been seated, hardly begun to argue over whether the pizza should have peppers and pepperoni, when Kimmy Jo and Dusty arrived. How interesting popularity is, thought Althea. I'm with Michael and Ryan, and that is perfection and everybody's envious. But the real stamp of approval is from the girls. Kimmy Jo and Dusty will decide it. Boys come and go, but girlfriends stay, and judge, and count. Hey, it says an error occurred. Did I go away? Have I left you? Why does my nose look so wide? It's a shadow thing. Well, that's not the most important thing. Am I here? Oh, I'm here. Okay, good. Magic feather / placebo story. The vampires isn't doing jack shit. No, yeah, I am here. Yeah. Yep, she only really cares about the approval of the girls. The boys are props. The boys are as much, you know, as interesting to her as her uniform. They're part of it. They're things that she's... They're handbags. They're pom-poms. Yeah, they're pom-poms. Because she wants to fuck them. There must be somebody whose erotic fantasy is fucking pom-poms. Sorry. Girlfriends stay and judge and count. Boys are a status symbol, girls matter. Yeah. But Kimmy Jo shrieked, "Hi, Althea, how's your throat?" and slid into the seat. They mean from the party? Doesn't sound like that to us, but that is what they mean. Dusty said, "Althea, thank goodness you're here. There is so much to talk about." Althea laughed to herself, and when Ryan tugged her backward so that she was leaning against his chest, she cooperated fully. You are under a chest. Cooperate. Becky came into Pizza Hut. Althea was amazed to see Becky pause by the salad bar, unsure of herself. Becky's eyes quickly scanned the booths to see where she would be welcome. Michael, Ryan, Althea, Kimmy Jo, and Dusty were in the corner booth. A bunch of juniors had taken the booth on one side, and some seniors the opposite booth. How's the dick here? Good dick? Oh my god. You tried a dick in your mouth. Sorry, that's from Tingle Mingle. Becky, like Althea, was a sophomore. A cheerleader, yes, but not old enough and with too little status to break into the Kimmy Jo Dusty booth. I've already moved ahead of Becky, thought Althea, seeing popularity suddenly as a sort of board game, where a throw of the dice or somebody else's lost turn had you whipping ahead, gathering points and heading for the winner's circle. Althea waved to Becky, calling, "Come on over here, Becky. We have plenty of room." Kimmy Jo and Dusty frowned slightly. Becky came up breathlessly, her cheeks turning pink with excitement. Ryan and Michael acknowledged her politely. Becky was really only a fringe member of the popular crowd. Only being on the varsity squad had moved her onto that fringe. Only during games and practices would she really count. Here, at Pizza Hut, Becky was minor. Althea was overcome with a sense of power. She, who had been nobody, nothing, invisible, inaudible, she could bestow popularity on Becky. Brian said to Althea, "So when's the next party? That one was so much fun." Parties, thought Althea. She landed slightly. Not all the way. Part of her was still flying. But a part of her was grounded. As Jenny had been, as Celeste had been. She had made two choices. And now Jenny was absent. Celeste was trudging. And for what? For a slice of pizza eating in this corner instead of that? "I had a great time," agreed Michael. "Me too," said Becky quickly. "I don't know how often I can open up the house like that," said Althea carefully. "I know just what you mean," said Kimmy Jo, although that seemed unlikely. "My parents get so anxiety-ridden when I even suggest a party that it's pathetic." Talk turned to parental rules. Ryan quickly lost interest and stood up, handing money to the cashier. "Hey, Mike," he said, "you want to haul us back to the high school so we can get Althea's car? Sure. They got up. A trio. A successful, popular trio. Althea was dizzy with it. Bye, Kimmy Joe, she said. Bye, Dusty. Becky shrank down into the booth. She was excess baggage now. Her hostess had left. The rulers of this booth had better people to associate with. Althea cringed for her. Hey, Becky, said Althea quickly. Do you want to sleep over one night this weekend? Like Saturday? Hey, protested Ryan. I'd like to sleep over one night this weekend. Althea laughed, although her soul and body burned at the thought, and kept her eyes safely on Becky. I'd love to, said Becky, no longer shrinking. She sat tall and relaxed. Althea had spoken to her. Althea had included her. No wonder the ancient Greeks portrayed the god Zeus with a lightning bolt. Althea could have held electric power lines and made them do her bidding. She was popular now, and the words sounded and looked alike. Popular, powerful. So Jenny was absent. So big deal. It was like any football game. You had some winners, and you had some losers. Althea had become the winner. Yeah, she certainly had. We good to carry on? We're not even quite halfway in the book yet. Yeah, that teenage need to belong is incredibly strong, and that teenage inability to empathize. I don't even know why I ask. I want to carry on and you want me to carry on, so. But I'm just going to keep asking. Exactly. She feels like the power's hers. And a result of who she is, but it's the vampire / toxic social norms conferring power and able to withdraw it. Yeah, very insightful. We're so fucking smart. We're like intelligent. Thank you for replying to asking, for answering, if you will. No, they're good. They're out there. They're not out there. Chapter 13. They had taken only one step into the parking lot, a trio of dancers getting one beat into the choreography, when a gleaming black SUV drove up. Several laughing girls rolled down their windows and called, "Hi, Michael! Hi, Ryan!" The girls were seniors, and one of them was Constance. "Hi, Althea," the girls chorused. Althea was awestruck. Her name was known to this set, Constance and her beautiful friends. "Hi," she whispered. The black SUV rolled on, inch by inch. The driver had decided not to stop all the way, but to creep ever forward. Althea thought that was just right for the personality of this crowd. Nothing would stop them, and they would stop for nothing. They were the girls who would have it all. Oh, to be one of them. See, it's never enough, is it? Sorry, I've just remembered I have to dissolve a pill under my tongue. But, I also needed a drink, so. It's a good place to take a little lisp break. The hunger for power is so strong. She's not happy with the corner booth at fucking Pizza Hut. She wants more. As the SUV glided past, Gonna lisp a little bit. Althea let a fantasy drift through her mind in which she mixed with this group, and laughed among them, and danced among them, and was the girl who had it all. Ryan stepped back, pulling Althea with him, but Michael stood still, as if waiting to be run down. Although the SUV slipped on, Constance opened the passenger door and leaned out a few inches. How lovely she was. Constance deserved to be the only model for an entire magazine. Softly, as if alone with him in a shadowy room, Constance said, "Michael, how are you? I miss you." Michael flushed and said nothing. He seemed unprepared, like a child among adults. What had happened between these two to make Michael so nervous and Constance soft with hope? "May I join you?" said Constance, half out the door. Michael smiled courteously, opened the door the rest of the way, and said, "Of course." Now the SUV stopped. Constance emerged. She was wearing a white wool skirt and a white silk blouse. The fuck? A brilliant scarf lay carelessly round her throat. She looked the way every girl dreams of looking. Beautiful, romantic, and mysterious. Althea felt dumpy and dumb. No longer even felt 16. Maybe 11? A little kid stumbling behind a beauty queen. It's obvious that they broke up, and it's also obvious that she's in love with Constance. But Althea doesn't know either of those things yet. She's in love with every girl, to be fair. The SUV moved on, circling Pizza Hut and vanishing. Sometimes you just drive your teen friends around the Pizza Hut and then you leave. Michael got behind the wheel of his car with Constance beside him in the front. Althea and Ryan got in the back. It was an entirely different drive. There was no silly joking. Michael drove with great concentration, never looking at the passenger to his right. Constance sat sideways, stretching her safety belt out like a first prize ribbon to be admired, and never took her eyes off Michael. Constance was trying to make peace. Over what rift, Althea would have loved to know. Michael and Constance were extremely courteous to each other. Their dialogue might have been heard 100 years ago in more elegant times, perhaps over teacups and lace doilies. Althea was glad they had not had to talk over pizza. She remembered Ryan and looked his way. Ryan was picking grumpily at some torn threads on his blue jeans. "Michael," he said, "you're just steering. You forgot about driving us back to get Althea's car." Michael grinned in embarrassment. He said, "I thought I'd circumnavigate the globe. Skip high school." "As long as you don't skip me anymore," said Constance. For the first time, Michael looked at his girlfriend, and then rested his hand on her knee. She covered his hand with hers, and Althea sighed with contentment. True love had won! Michael and Constance both laughed a little, and then were suddenly self-conscious in front of Althea and Ryan. Constance smiled at the back seat. "I don't know if Michael's ready to be alone with me," she said cheerfully. "I think we need you two in the back seat." Do you? So how are you enjoying varsity, Althea? I was so glad you made the squad." "I love it," said Althea shyly. "I'm making friends already. I don't think I'll make friends so quickly." "We're writing essays on friendship for English," said Michael. "It's a tough subject." The first essay was what friendship gives to you, and you had to be specific and name 3 friends who gave you something. 1 from elementary school, 1 from a sport or an activity, and 1 who's not your own age. Althea's hands were so cold. She felt as if blood had stopped circulating through her. Perhaps it had. Perhaps that was how the vampire migrated. Perhaps the vampire could dictate what they talked about. Perhaps he could give out English assignments. What if I had set down on paper what my last 2 friends gave me? She thought. They gave me popularity. Jenny's the friend from elementary school and Celeste's the friend from a sport. They gave me this. They're the reason I'm sitting here with Ryan putting his arm around my shoulder, Constance smiling at me, and Michael talking to me. And that third category, a friend not your age. Could that be what the vampire wanted next? Now, the second essay, which I have to write tonight, said Michael, is what you give to others in a friendship. What I gave, thought Althea, is unspeakable, unwritable, unthinkable. But I did it anyway. I did it twice. Ryan's large, smooth hand had encircled her now. Holy shit, it's a big hand. And was pulling her against him so that she was snuggled into the curve of his arm. He tilted his head against hers, and the warmth of him, the masculine presence of him, it was the most wonderful thing she'd ever experienced. I wouldn't change my mind, thought Althea. I wouldn't have done it differently. I'm sick. I'm horrible. I'm the worst person on earth, because I'm glad it happened. I'm glad I have this ride, and these new friends, and Ryan. Constance was still facing Michael, drinking him in almost. Her lovely profile was outlined by the setting sun, and the perfection of her gave Althea shivers. I want to be like that, she thought. I want to be just like Constance. She thought, I just won't think about Celeste and Jenny anymore. That's the important thing, not to dwell on it. I have what I have. The past is past. It's a tough essay question, said Michael, frowning slightly, unaware his friend had changed alignment. She likes their wonderful presents. She doesn't know. But she knows that Constance is so perfect it makes her shiver. I mean, it's a tough essay question, said Michael, frowning slightly. I mean, what do I give to my friends? He sent Constance a look of deep meaning, and she returned it by lifting his hand and holding it against her cheek. Althea loved the privilege of being there to see it. She is in love with both of them and the idea of both of them. If you've got lots of energy into not thinking about women, you become straight. Probably, yeah. Personally, it happened to me because, I pissed off the wrong witch. Pizza and rides are all you give your friends, teased Ryan. I want to get an A on that essay, you jerk, said Michael. It has to be profound. Think of something meaningful. Hey, there's nothing more profound than a really good pepperoni pizza, said Ryan. Ooh, pizza. Too late. Late at night. What do you think, Althea? Constance asked. If you wrote about friendship, what would you say? Constance rested her chin on the seat back and looked straight into Althea's eyes. Every hair on Althea's head prickled. Constance fills the requirement. She's not my age, so she must be next. Constance? Beautiful, wonderful, lovely Constance, getting draggy and trudgy and pitiful like Celeste? Never! That must never happen. Althea forgot to censor her speech. Right out loud, she said, I guess you don't turn a friend over to a vampire. Gay. Michael, Constance, and Ryan burst out laughing. Michael laughed so hard he almost drove off the road. Ryan hugged Althea more tightly, as if that were a cue line for a lover, as if that statement meant they understood each other now and were actually dating, a romantic pair. What a great rule, said Michael, shaking his head and getting back into the proper lane. And now all you do is think about women. You saved it up for when you could appreciate it. Michael turned on his headlights as the sky finished darkening and the winter night closed in. He turned on the heater, and a warm wind caressed Althea's ankles. "Next time I meet a vampire," promised Constance, "I won't turn a single friend over to him." Laughter filled the car as if a new form of oxygen had been created, as if a different combination of elements had invaded their little enclosure. Yeah, that's what happens when you hotbox a car. Michael turned up Hillside Drive. Far away, and far below, the many-angled roof of Althea's forbidding house was like a black pool in the early darkness of winter. 3 chimneys, solid brick, faded red, reached up toward the night sky, and 1 tower, with 3 windows, whose shutters banged. Michael was driving so slowly that the world seemed to have slowed down with him. Even the wind seemed to lift the bare branches slowly, while autumn leaves fluttered to the ground slowly, and people getting out of their cars closed their doors slowly and walked slowly inside. Also consistent with hotboxing the car. It's canon, yeah. Althea seemed to watch the shutters of her tower for a long, long time. Time enough for seasons to change and friendships to end. They were dark green shutters, shutters the colour of ancient hemlocks, the colour of impenetrable forests. "He's waiting for me. He'll be there when I get back, and he needs somebody else. He'll want Constance. But I cannot do that. Michael and Constance are so perfect together. I love them together. I love knowing that there is such perfection in the world, such beauty." Wait till she finds out about John Mulaney and his wife. Sorry. The shutters moved in unison toward the centre of each of the 3 windows. Gently they closed themselves. One by one, they shut out the night. Night. There had been a conversation about night. What had she agreed to do at night? Althea's hair lifted from her scalp, as if the vampire were running his horrid fingers through it, his tarnished foil nails scraping her scalp. Her spine hurt. "I invited Becky to spend the night on Saturday," she thought. "I forgot Becky. I forgot her as quickly and easily as I decided to forget Celeste and Jenny. It's like I've already given Becky away, so I can keep Constance." Horror filled Althea like quicksand, pulling her down the hill, hauling her body by evil gravity toward the shutters, toward the vampire, toward the end of Becky. And this is a really good place to end, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to keep reading because I'm into it. Friday night. Chapter 14. There was so much to be afraid of. Herself, and her capacity to do evil things. The vampire, and his presence, the way he was changing her. The future, and what she chose. The friends she had, and how she would hurt them, or hurt herself. And this, driving Ryan home, alone with a boy in a car. The dark of night was a capsule around them. The interior of the car was their world. How much less relaxed they were without Michael and Constance to dilute their emotions. They had been a group. Easy laughter, easy talk. Ryan's hand rested lightly on her shoulder as she drove, and his fingers, for a moment, touched her hair. The touch spooked her, and she suppressed a shudder. She could feel the vampire behind her, thinking of her, planning for her, waiting. Up and over yet another hill she drove. When she came down the other side, a mass of soil and rock blocked the vampire. It was impenetrable. His dark path could not go that far. She could feel it in her ribs, her spine, the flesh of her back, that they'd reached some kind of safety. She knew, as firmly as she knew her numbers and her alphabet, that the vampire could not pierce the hill. Althea heaved a huge sigh of relief. It was so great that Ryan jumped away from her, startled, jerking his hand back and staring at her. "Sorry," she said lamely. "I guess I don't drive much after dark, and I guess I'm kind of tired," so I sighed. Ryan found that a difficult excuse to accept. "It's okay," he said stiffly. I bet he did. "Just drop me off and go straight home. You probably have lots of homework anyway." She had a sense that she was losing him, that he was fading away from her, fast as daylight had faded on this wintry afternoon. She caught his hand to yank him back. "No, no," she protested. "I'm just really not that much of a driver." He believed her. How amazing. If some dumb girl had said that to Althea, she certainly would have had some questions. What American teen ever said or believed for a single moment that he or she was a lousy driver? Nobody. Everybody on earth believes they're an excellent driver. Everybody on earth takes pride in their brilliant driving skills. But Ryan believed her. Did the vampire make him? She thought. No, boys are just that eager to believe girls are stupid. You'll find out, Althea. How much power does the vampire really have? Can he actually invade my friends' thoughts? Of course he can, or he wouldn't have made them my friends. A gruesome thought invaded Althea. Had the vampire been giving Ryan instructions? Touch her. Smile at her. Take her hand. She had to ask the vampire next time she saw him. She had to know how much of this was real. Does it count if he makes it happen? She thought. What if I find out it's not for real? Will I still be thrilled to see Constance smile and have Ryan hug me and Michael say my name? Ryan lived in a ranch-style house. His driveway was paved, not gravel like hers. It seemed firmer, more modern, less likely to harbour things. "Do you want to come in?" said Ryan. "I'd love to, another day," she said. "But I have to get home." She kissed him. She was absolutely astounded at herself. Where had that courage come from? Ryan, startled and pleased, kissed her back. They laughed and kissed a second time, breathless and surprised in their sharing. Althea drove away into the night, so full of joy that she felt nothing else could ever exist in her except gladness. She liked a boy, and a boy liked her. What else is there? She laughed all the way back to her house. The laugh stayed on her face like an echo in the air. The curve of her smile kept her face alight and aloft. She was still laughing when she came in her front door, and the vampire said, "I was out tonight. Did you feel me? Did you know I was there?" He smiled, framed by the huge carved doorway, and his smile increased to match the door. His mouth filled more of his face than usual. His teeth were long and sharp as garden stakes. "Get out of here!" Althea hissed. Forget the question she'd wanted to ask him. She was furious with him for existing, for making her think about what she'd done. How could she find peace of mind if she was forced to remember? "I beg your pardon," said the vampire. "I live here." "It's my house!" she shouted. She stamped her foot. The porch shook a little from the force of her pounding foot, but the vampire was not affected. "It's mine," said the vampire, lingering on the sentence, and then softly he echoed himself, drooling over the words. "That's mine." Althea could not get in her own door. He filled it. His swirling black cape went right up to the edges of it like pond scum. "And you," said the vampire, smiling cruelly. You are mine also. Yeah, that's the point. Well, she could offer to give him like 3 people in return for forgetting. I'm sure he'd do it. Chapter 15. Let's go, I'm still feeling it. She was doing her math homework when the phone rang. Page 78. Quadratic equations lined up like little vehicles trying to cross the page. The book was very white and the numbers printed very clearly, very thinly, like a message. Hi, Althea, said an eager girl's voice. It's Becky. Hi, Becky, cried Althea. Our girlfriend was phoning. It had been years since the joy of having a best friend to call up and gossip with. Althea beamed into the telephone as if it had been invented just for her. Hell yeah, hell yeah. I had such a good time at Pizza Hut, didn't you? Said Becky. I will feed anyone to a vampire if I have a good time at Pizza Hut. It was great, wasn't it? Oh, wasn't Michael funny? Oh, isn't Ryan terrific? Oh, yeah, and after you left with the boys, well, I stayed on a while and I got to know Kimmy Jo and Dusty so much better. Kimmy Jo told me all about this terrific place where she gets her hair done, and Dusty thinks I should maybe get mine like a little more layered in the back. Dusty thinks I need more volume in my hair. Althea loved to talk about hair. She told Becky that she personally thought Becky's hair was extremely attractive, the way it clung to her head. That's the least hair can do. And Althea loved the ponytail, which was exactly the right length, shoulder length. Becky could curl her hair for elegant occasions, but if Becky cut it layered, she would have volume but no ponytail. And was that really what Becky was after? Becky said she was really after a boyfriend, and hair volume kind of ran second to that. They laughed shrilly and eagerly into the phones and got into more comfortable positions because this was a conversation with all-night potential. Althea was sorry she had no snack next to the phone. Althea frowned at her quadratic equations and did one. After they were done with hair, they moved on to makeup and clothing, and then they got to the important part, what Althea had done with Michael and Ryan. Althea told Becky everything, while Becky sighed in vicarious pleasure at each description. And then he took his hand off my shoulder and touched my hair, said Althea. How did he touch it? Becky said. I mean, did he run his hand like over it or through it? Like what? Althea did another quadratic equation. A really good equation, thought Althea. There's a girlfriend on the phone asking what you did with a boyfriend in a car. She loves it so much. They discussed exactly what happened. Becky moaning with envy. What is Becky doing at her house? Never mind. I think I know. They pondered whether Althea too needed more volume in her hair and should go with Becky to the new hairstylist. Then Becky was struck by the thought that perhaps Dusty and Kimmy Jo had been trying to say that Becky looked stupid and needed professional help. You know them better than I do, said Althea. Are they mean or nice? Are they thoughtful or cruel? Althea finished up 2 more equations. Moaning with something, yeah. Becky told several interesting stories about various nice or else cruel things that Kimmy Jo and Dusty had done. Then she said casually, and yet carefully, Hey, about sleeping over, Althea. I asked my mother about Saturday, but I thought I should check first and see if Ryan asked you out, because, I wouldn't hold you to your invitation if Ryan, he would come first, of course. I'm positive Ryan would come first. Althea suddenly remembered why she'd stopped being friends with Jenny when they hit high school. It had been a conversation just like this one. How could she possibly have forgotten? The pain had paralyzed Althea for months for her whole freshman year. The conversation replayed in Althea's head like an old record. One of those big slow records that you found boxes of at yard sales, because nobody even owned a turntable anymore. But you said I could stay over at your house Saturday, Althea had protested. I know, Althea, but grow up. Dave asked me to the movies. I mean, what counts here, Althea? I'm your best friend. Althea! How irritated Jenny had sounded. As if she were looking at her wristwatch. As if she could not believe her romance was being slowed down by this dumb conversation with some worthless girl. Althea, this is a boy. Remember how there are two sexes? Of course, you haven't found out yet, but I have. And I'm not about to tell Dave I can't go to the movies because my friend Althea wants to come over. That Saturday night seemed eons ago, but it wasn't. It was only a year and a half. A year and a half ago that the best friend of all her life and all her joys and sorrows had said, let me spell this out for you, Althea. I have a boyfriend now. Jenny had not added, had not needed to, I don't want you, Althea. I'm not available now. I have better things to do and better people to be with. Oh, this video. Hey, I'm calling it. I'm catching on. I'm getting the theme and the gist. Althea was in love with Jenny the whole time. But she doesn't know. Memory was harsh and painful. It is the horniest video. It is hornier than the guy fucking the mummy race car. That's true. It's not hornier than the saber-toothed dentist, who's a ghost, but we might get there. We don't know. Sure, Ryan will. I'm not that kind of friend, she thought, proud of herself. I wouldn't write a friend off into the background like that. She said firmly, of course it's on, Becky. I can hardly wait. There's only one trouble. Is there any chance I could stay at your house instead of you at mine? Because, you know how it is. I just can't have company right now. Becky replied delicately that she understood. Families could be difficult. She's bad at remembering she's very, very lesbian. I'd love to have you stay here, said Becky. Actually, that's better in a way because even though I'm 16, my parents don't like me to stay overnight at anybody's house when they haven't met the family. They're really old-fashioned, Althea. You would not believe it. I have so much to tell you. Althea folded up into her chair and cuddled the phone like an infant. She was safe for another weekend at least. Nobody would be here to cross the dark path. Where the fuck are her parents? Her parents have not been mentioned this entire time. Ryan didn't ask you out for Saturday then, Becky asked, just to be sure. Even if he had, I would have explained to him that I had to check with you first. I'm not that kind of friend, Becky. She could almost see Becky smile. That wide, delighted, pixie-ish smile that made her such a great cheerleader. That up-tilted head, that crowing laugh, that low-volume hair and twitching ponytail. Althea hung up. Althea giggled into the phone. Becky's giggle matched, and they agreed to meet before school in the morning to talk about essential things before class began. Althea hung up. She smiled, thinking of friendship. What a beautiful thing it was. She looked down regretfully at her next quadratic equation and lifted her pencil to finish off the homework. An oddly clear shadow crossed page 78. A shadow like glass or mirrors. And the vampire said, I've decided. I want Becky next. Boom! Mic drop, vampire, end of chapter. And I am going to call it there because it's been an hour and a half and the vampire wants Becky. Good place to stop. Quite exciting. Doesn't matter whether they're at your house or not, Althea. The vampire wants you to give him something you cherish. What year did this come out? Good question. I'm really enjoying it too. Whoops. I mean, to read for an hour and a half every day. But it's so different. And it's such a good study of what seems incredibly important to a teenager. And yeah, like you say, I'm looking up what year it came out. Like the vampire is a metaphor for social norms and everything. So it makes a lot of sense that way as well. And how when you're a teenage girl, it's like boys are a different species. Like you have one, maybe, or your friend has one, or whatever, but they're not entirely human. You don't quite. But girls have thoughts and feelings and opinions. Like they're human, like you are. It's weird. It's hard to explain, but I'm sure everyone here knows what I mean, even if it's reversed, you know? Like a pet lizard. Like a really cute leather jacket. Like it makes you look amazing. Keeps you warm. It did not come out in 2003. This edition of it might have. Sorry, that was very adversarial. I was I was reading in the Becky and gossipy Althea voices, and I got a little teenage there. Poonhound vampire hunting a goat, 10th his age. List. Oh, here we go. Huh. The Vampire's Promise, Deadly Offer, 2003. That's not when it came out. It was called something else. It was called something else. What was it called? I don't know. I think it might have just been called The Vampire, but it's not here. But anyway, originally published 2003. No, I know that I read this in the 90s. It was called The Cheerleader. And the book cover was a pair of shoes and pom-poms with blood on them. There we go. Cheerleader The Caroline B. Cooney, originally published in 1991. And I'll drop a screen cap. I don't give a fuck. There are repeats. The Return of the Vampire has been rebranded. The Vampire's Promise Fatal Bargain. So I guess they're just taking them out. 1998, yeah. You were born in 91? Oh my god. I was already being bullied at school by then. Jealous. But yeah. The Vampire, 1991. And the Cheerleader, sorry. And I don't remember the sequels. Faust 2, The Vampire Diaries. One of the other ones that she wrote that I really liked was called Twins. It's about some twins. And they are separated by their parents they're teens. And one of them dies in a skiing accident, and the other one decides to pretend that she is that twin because she thinks her twin has a better life than her. And things get a little bit scary. And she also wrote The Perfume, which is one of the best depictions of mental illness I've read. Like, it's genuinely good. So I'm gonna do the idea with the point horror ones is that I'm gonna do one that I genuinely enjoy as a good one, and then a stupid one and do stupid voices, and then a good one and then a stupid one. So we'll have votes for whether to do The Perfume or Twins second to next, you know. The next one we do is probably going to be something completely ridiculous. I don't know. But yeah, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for vampiring with me. I was gonna wear one of my cheerleading ribbons, but it made me too sad to think about. I miss it. And I would give you all to a vampire if I could go back. I wouldn't. Yeah, it'll be something silly. It could be the next Fear Street Saga. The sequel, prequels, bullshit books that just kind of are vaguely historical. Thank you all so much. It's bedtime. Go to bed, unless you're in America, in which case, I don't know. Do what you want. You got freedom. Terra Terrace. Good night. Bye. Good night, good night, good night, good night.